In this third video, we'll be looking at mistaken beliefs about writing, using templates and why these don't work, and finally, why even native speakers have problems in IELTS writing. As usual, before we start, be sure to download the worksheet in the link below so that you're learning and practicing as you watch. And look for the exercise numbers in the top left-hand corner. Let's start with the mistaken beliefs about writing. When we see people sharing their test results, writing is typically the lowest score, with many stuck at band 6 or 6.5. In my experience, this lack of progress is due to the way people prepare for the test, which is often shaped by several mistaken beliefs about writing. I mentioned the first of these beliefs in earlier videos, where we saw that people often think that, to get a high score, you need to use high-level words and use as many complex grammar points as you can. Notice that these are presented as very fixed rules you have to follow. We can also see another mistaken belief here, which is that writing is measured by counting elements such as language and ideas. With its emphasis on exact quantities, this almost seems like a recipe or a scientific formula with very precise instructions. The idea of a neat set of rules like this, acting as a sort of recipe for success, is very appealing. But as we saw in the vocabulary video, language doesn't work like this. Trying to improve your writing score by learning high-level, impressive-sounding words and complex grammar is a little like decorating this car with sporty wheels and racing stripes and expecting it to go faster. Underneath the decorations, it's still a car that doesn't function in the way you need it to. Attempting to reduce language to things we can count also gives a false sense of achievement. You feel as though you're working hard, and you can trick yourself into thinking you're making good progress until you get your test result. Frustration at the lack of progress leads many to look for quick solutions to this problem online and in videos. Another mistaken belief may come from the many videos that show teachers writing an essay live on camera. As this comment on one of these videos shows, watching someone write isn't very helpful and gives the impression that you can write a perfect Band 9 essay in less than 5 minutes, which is simply not true. This leads to our third mistaken belief, which is that writing is easy for native speakers, and that at the highest levels you can simply sit and write with very little effort. A lot of advice about writing matches this idea, telling you not to waste time thinking and to just make a simple plan like this, then write your essay. And this is a basic plan often used for writing a paragraph. Some people go even further and produce templates like this, which brings us to our next topic: the use of templates and why these don't work. Using a template like this is supposed to make writing very easy for you. All you need to do is fill in the gaps. But this is closer to a controlled classroom exercise for beginners. Like this paint by numbers activity, it doesn't allow you to show any real skill. The problems with templates become even clearer when we look at other examples found online. Even if we ignore the language problems here, this would clearly produce a very strange paragraph, with the first and final sentences claiming to contain the most important reason for something, and the middle sentence rather confusingly talking about another very big advantage. Rather than helping, such templates result in confusing, repetitive writing, no matter how carefully you try and fill in the gaps. Like the list of rules we saw earlier, the idea that you can follow a simple plan to write any paragraph is a very appealing one. The 3 basic elements may come from an oversimplification of the task, response, and coherence and cohesion descriptors. Remember, we're told that you must support your main ideas well to get Band 7, which explains these ideas. And the coherence and cohesion band descriptor tells us that you should present a clear central topic, which explains this part. Although this plan is less confusing than the one we saw earlier, it's still a simple numbered list that encourages you to count your sentences and ideas. When people write in this way, mechanically crossing items off a list, they generally produce writing that is not meaningful. This applies to everyone, even native speakers. As a result, they can also get stuck at band 6.5 in writing, especially if they believe that native speakers can just sit and write. Let's look at an example. This paragraph was sent to me by a native speaker who was stuck at band 6.5 in writing, and who was very frustrated at his low score and lack of progress. To evaluate or edit writing, we need to become a reader. Pause the video now and read through the paragraph. As you read, think about meaning. Can you follow the ideas? What do you think the essay is about? The writing task was part of the problem here, so I'll just give the main topic, which was how to get companies to employ more older workers. The writer told me he'd been taught to follow this paragraph plan and use it as a template for all his writing. When people write using a template, their thinking goes like this. First, I'll write a topic sentence. Then I'll write an explanation. Now I just need to invent an academic-sounding example to finish. Let's look at this in detail to see how successful this approach is. A topic sentence should tell us the central or main idea of the paragraph. But this first sentence doesn't do that. Instead, it presents a possible solution to a long-term problem. According to the template, the next sentence provides an explanation. But instead of helping to explain the previous idea, it creates confusion. Why would a lower income tax allow employers to hire the right people for a job? How is this connected to the need to lower HR fees? None of these ideas are clear. The final sentence is an invented example to try to sound academic. The phrase, "a similar initiative," tells us this refers back to an earlier idea. In other words, lowering the income tax on profits. So this example is used to show that lowering the income tax made income tax lower. This doesn't help us to understand the previous already confusing ideas. Every invented example I see has this same issue. It looks like an example, but it doesn't function like one, because it doesn't support or help to explain the previous ideas. Similarly, this looks like a paragraph, but it doesn't function like one, because these sentences don't work together. As we saw in an earlier video, at band 6, ideas are not developed or are unclear. So this is a good example of band 6 task response. This is what happens when native speakers just sit and write. Because unlike speaking, writing is not an innate skill. So, just like anybody else, native speakers need to learn how to think, plan and write an essay that presents a clear position on an argument. And if they follow bad advice, they can just as easily remain stuck at band 6.5. Look out for part 4 of this video, where I'll look at the key changes you need to make if you want to get band 7 or above in writing. I'll also be talking about my writing task books, which clear up all of your confusion about IELTS writing and show you how to think, plan and write so that you finally get the score you need. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any new videos.